everyone, welcome back to a new video on historical sewing. And in this video we're going to be talking about antique sewing machines, and in specific about this one here. I found her on Facebook and she needed some love, care, and attention to get her working again. So in this video I'm going to be showing you how I did that, how to learn more about your antique sewing machine, and I'm going to be showing you all the cool attachments that came with it and see which ones work or not. Now, for those of you that remember, I have done a video like this before on my other antique. Unfortunately, she couldn't make the move with me, so that one is currently staying with my sister, and I needed a new antique in the meantime. Now, I found this one on Facebook and got very lucky with it. Right now, the prices of these antiques are actually going up and up. Some people are literally trying to get hundreds of dollars just for one that's not even in working conditions, it's missing parts, looks like a rusted heap, or some other abominable conditions. So I got very lucky with this one. The only small damage it has is a little bit of water damage on the wood, but other than that, she was ready to get back to work. Now, a little bit of background on this machine itself. I found it on Facebook, and the lovely older man that sold it to me wanted to sell it because he was getting older and he wanted it to go to someone who would appreciate it. Well, a mission accomplished. I'm super happy I have this one. It's in very good condition. It just needed a little maintenance, and other than that, it was in really good condition. Now, the thing when you're buying online is you kind of have to go on pictures, and when we got there, I was very relieved to see that the pictures at least lived up to the expectation, and I was ready to buy. Now, we actually tried to stuff it in the boot first, and that didn't work. So we ended up putting it on the back seat of my new car, which was not my best decision. I'm very sorry, Steven. That was on me. I'm sorry. But we did manage to take it home, and that is the most important thing. But next time we'll rent a U-Haul or something. Now, the man that sold it to me was able to tell me a little bit about the machine's history. Now, he told me it was a wedding present for his grandmother when she got married in the 19-teens. So the machine would have been completely new when she bought it. Then his mother got it and she used it for sewing as well. And then unfortunately, he wasn't able to sew on it, so it's just been sitting ever since. One of the funny things he told me about it is that one of his most vivid memories of that sewing machine is when he was a small child. He was crawling around the sewing machine while his mother was working on it, and he managed to get his fingers in between the pedal and hurt himself a lot. Not the greatest memory, but I always like hearing those kinds of stories. I mean, they do stick with you. Now, you may ask, why did you buy a Singer again? You already had a Singer, why not something else? Well, let me tell you. The great thing about Singer is that they have an online register where you can look up the serial number of your machine. So this is my serial number, and when I look it up online, it shows that this serial number was assigned to this sewing machine on 15 September 1910, and that it was a model 27. Now, with these specific dates, I know how old this machine is, the model, which will help me find parts if I need them, and it will also help me find a manual for the machine, and if I ever need to fix it, it just makes everything a whole lot easier. Now, one of the other reasons is I just know that these machines are very sturdy. I have used my old Singer. I know how it works. I fixed that one up too. I know how the inside of it works, how stuff goes together, so it just makes it a lot easier for me to just buy a similar machine as to what I had. Now, one of the differences is that my old machine had a hood and this machine has a lid. Now, I don't mind either way, but the great thing about having the lid is that I can close it and use it as a desk. I will post a link to the Singer database down below, so if you want to look up your own serial number, you can go check that out and see what more information you can learn about your machine. Now, we need to get this machine ready to go. So the things I'm going to be using for fixing up this machine are sewing machine oil. So many people don't realize that when you have a sewing machine, you have to look after it, and especially these older ones, they are machines with gears, so they're going to need oil. Wood oil for the wood, very important. Q-tips, because they help you get to more narrow spaces without, getting your fingers stuck. Lots of kitchen paper, because you gotta put the oily stuff somewhere. A soft cloth to rub the oil in. And I found some conditioner for the leather belt, because that one definitely needs some work. Now, this is the machine, and this is the belt. For those of you that don't know, this belt is made from leather, and this leather is very dry. And what happens with dry leather, it actually doesn't hold it tight enough to make the wheel turn. So we need to fix this. Either you buy a replacement. I like to try to fix stuff first before I buy a replacement. So we're going to try to rehydrate it. And we're doing that by soaking it in some water for a while. And then we're putting some conditioner on it. found this stuff. We'll see how that works out. And then hopefully I don't have to buy a new belt, which would be great. Now the wood on this machine looks like it hasn't had any oil in a while, so we're going to take care of that. I found some wood oil, and I've never used this before, so we're going to read the instructions, put some oil on it, and hopefully she looks better after this. Also, yes, these are my pajamas because my toddler is finally asleep. Okay, next up is to remove this plate and the back plate to give those a good clean. The back plate's actually easy to get off because it's not attached with the original screw. I'm going to try to hunt out one of those because this doesn't even look nice. Too modern to my liking. But yeah, this needs a good clean. I always love the decorational plates. Look how pretty. But yes, also needs a clean. And this is the inside of the machine, and that is definitely going to use some oil. And I like using Q-tips to clean these machines because it's so much easier to get the oil where it needs to be. Just make sure you're not leaving behind any of the little fluff bits on the top. But if you saturate these with oil, and then again, this is just from trial and error, you make sure that all the moving parts are getting some oil, and then I just like to let this sit overnight. Make sure you move it around a little bit so the oil gets in all places, and ugh, look how disgusting. A good thing to know is that all these machines come with an oil schematic, so look up yours so you can put oil in the right places. Now, another good use of sewing machine oil is to give it a good clean. Make this old lady all shiny again. Oh my goodness, look at that. Just some oil and she is already turning. So much easier. See, this one makes me so happy about fixing these up. Well, after some good scrubbing, these are all shiny again. They almost look new. I have also put my sewing feet in some oil because some of them were really stuck. And the leather belt is done soaking, so that is hanging to dry. And then when that's done, I can apply the moisturizer and we can get started on sewing. Well, after all that work, the machine is ready to be used. We're going to try out some of the attachments and see if they work. In my other video on these antique sewing machines, I had a couple of sewing attachments that were just dead. They didn't work anymore. I couldn't get them to work. So with these, I made sure to oil them beforehand, and we're just going to see if that trick worked and see what kind of cool things we can make with it. So let's thread this old lady up and let's get to work. Okay, so now that the machine is fixed up and ready to go, we can focus on the attachments. I found this a great resource, and in it, the writer shows you many different types of sewing feet for different types of machines, and it gives a lot of information on how to use these. So if you're interested in learning more about your sewing attachments, this is definitely a good one. I just borrowed it from the library. In this book, I found a lot more information on my sewing feet, and let me walk you through the ones that I do have. So these were all the feet that came with the machine. And as you can see, many have different clamp attachments. So that means that they're not meant for this machine, but it can still be interesting to study them. So for instance, the ruffler, I have 3 different rufflers. Just wanted to show you these real quick. So these are all 3 rufflers, but they're all a different type. So this one has a screw on top, this one has a screw on top, and it has this dial. And this one has a dial but no screw on top. And this one goes with my machine. And these go on other types of shank machines. So it's just fascinating how similar attachment can even look different for different types of machines. And I hope that this ruffler is kind of a redemption situation, because my previous one with my other sewing machine did not work. And I would really like to have a working one. So we'll see how she does. Then another foot I already had with my other machine was the tucker. I will link the clip from my last video on how that one works down below. Then a foot that I didn't have before is a disadjustable hammer, which looks very fascinating. Then we have one that is pretty standard with all machines, and that is the seam gauge. And then one I haven't seen before is a binder. Then we also have our foot hammer. And then one last one that I'm not really sure if I'm going to be using very much is the quilting foot. Now let's go try out these sewing feet, see if they work, and hopefully my ruffler actually works this time and isn't dead like my other one. Okay, so this is the ruffler foot, and it has 2 attachment points. This one goes here, and then the back clamps on the back here. So let's loosen this screw a little bit. Okay. So screw it on. Okay, she is secure. Okay, now that the foot's on, let's see if she wants to work for me. So this goes in between and then up and through. I'm gonna make sure it catches. There's like little teeth in there, so you want to make sure that it can grip onto your fabric. Looks secure. Put down. Let's see how it does. It's doing something. Woo! It's making pleats. Oh my goodness, it works. Look at that. Woo! Okay, it's not perfect yet, but it's working. So my last one did not work at all. So this already makes me super happy. And now we can, I don't know, try some things out with this. Look at these cute little plates. Oh, this makes me happy. Okay, one foot works. Next up is the adjustable hammer. I am not very confident in this one. It looks a lot more complicated than the other one, so let me see if I can figure it out. First, attach it, and then it says that the pointer needs to be the width that you want it to be. Then it says to fold over what you want to be fold it over. Now we gotta get this through. Ready to, oh, you don't like this. You can break this thing. It does show, I don't know everything either. Oh my goodness, nope, nope. Let's try this. Here goes nothing. It's doing something. Well, that's what we got. I'm sure I did something wrong, but I don't like it. If I have to solve a mystery every time I try to sew M, it's not for me. Might just need some more practicing. But right now, yeah, this one is not as fun as the other ones. So on to the next. So the next foot we're going to do is the binder foot. Now I've already prepared it by finagling through some bias tape. You may need to use your tweezers for this because it's really finicky work. So what you do is you're just going to guide it through this little nozzle and make sure it comes out on the other side. Then we're going to attach it. I've actually done it this way because I attach it before and try to get it through, and it's a lot harder to do. So we're doing it the other way around, cheating a little bit. And then what we need to do is have our fabric through here. Down with the lever. And this is a brown bias tape that I never use, so it's a good test one. Okay, let's see how this comes out. I feel like I still need to hold it a lot. Oh, actually, this is not bad. Let me get it out and see. This is actually pretty handy. I actually finish a lot with bias tape. This, besides trying to get the bias tape in the handle, this is a really handy one. I'm surprised. I like it. Look how neat. Okay, pleasantly surprised. Let's try our next sewing foot. Now the last one we have is the foot hammer. I actually had this one last time, so I've already tested it a little bit, but let's see if I do better this time. Let's attach it and see how it goes. Now that went a lot easier than the last time I did this. And now the great thing about this one is that you can also attach a lace by feeding it through this slot, and it will sew it immediately onto this while you're working on it, so you can finish and decorate in one go. So yeah, this actually went a lot easier than I remember. So not a bad foot either. So which one of these was your favorite? Was it the ruffler, the binder, the foot hammer, or was it the adjustable hammer? Let me know in the comments. I'm very curious. My favorite is definitely clear, and that is this one. Yes, I definitely love my ruffler. I'm super happy with it. Well, after all that, I hope you've learned a lot more about these beautiful old machines, and who knows? You can now fix up your own, or maybe you just like watching antique sewing machine videos. I totally get that. If you like this kind of content, make sure to subscribe to my videos. That way you'll never miss anything that I post. And what are you, Camp Antique or Camp Modern? Let me know in the comments. And also, if there are any questions I didn't answer in this video, please do let me know. I always make sure to answer these questions as fast as I can so you can get back to what you were doing. Now, as always, I really appreciate you all being here, and I will see you all in my next video.